So I doubt that Dr. Hanson, Dr. Stephanie Hanson, who's about to join us, pediatrician with Sanford Help, ever thought she'd find herself doing media and having a conversation like the one we're about to have. So let's find out. Let's bring her in and get a chance to visit with her. Dr. Hanson, thank you for coming on. I appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You're a pediatrician, which is in desperate need because there's a lot of questions that have been coming your way. And so let's begin with the one I started with, I guess. Did you ever, going to school all those years, knowing what what you wanted to do was to work around babies and help mothers, and did you ever think that you'd be talking about a formula shortage?
Never, not even once did I consider the idea that something that is so essential to the care of babies would be in short supply. I mean, we just thought it was a guaranteed thing.
So, you've spoke to mothers. They're looking for advice. They're looking for options. If they don't get formula, they're going to need to find out from you what to do. Before we get into the answer to that question, I'm curious what their attitude is. Nothing has to be more stressful than worrying about your baby.
I mean, that's one of your main jobs as a parent, right? Is to feed your baby. And if your options are limited or not available, that is terrifying. So, most of the families I talk to who are having this concern are just scared. And they want to know what's going to happen. They want to know what they can do. They want advice about if they can't find a formula. They're scared.
I don't know. There were a lot of people on the southern end of the border that were getting formula out of Mexico. When you look at that, if that made its way all the way to the north, were you concerned at all about the safety of it? Were you concerned at all about the makeup of it?
Yeah, every country has different regulations where they monitor the nutritional content and the safety of their infant formula. And so just because something is approved in another country does not necessarily mean that it meets our safety standards. I also really question if people are importing formula on their own. They may not be aware of the source. They may not even be sure that what they're getting is actually baby formula. So I do have some real safety concerns about that.
So when I drive a skid steer, and I'm going to put a plug in for my home area, we make Bobcats. I don't talk about the other brands, even though I should, because there's a lot of other good skid steer brands. Right now, Dr. Hanson, you're going, where the heck's he going with this? So let me just tell you. When Sue and I had the girls and they were young, it was Similac. I'm assuming that's a brand name. It was Similac, which kind of became the standard for formula with all of the other couples because we had a lot of kids at the same age. That being said, what's the difference if instead of being able to find a Similac, you find a different brand? What does that do to the baby? Because I would guess there's got to be some effect there.
Well, you bring up a really good point, and that's actually my number one recommendation is if you can't find your regular formula, don't be afraid to switch brands. Use the store brand, use one of the other big brands. Don't be afraid to do that because nutritionally they will be quite similar. And, the main differences there are things like consistency and flavor. Some of them might have, a little bit more of one thing, a little bit more of another thing. But those brand switches are okay.
Okay, so I'm going to get in trouble, but I can't get in as much trouble now that I've got a pediatrician with me. Okay, as somebody who does a radio show, things come at me, phone calls, text messages, all of those type of things, and there were a number of them from women who had raised their children without formula, who had said to us, "What are people panicking about?" And since you're with me, I read a recipe that the same 10 phone numbers had given me by text, and it was always the same formula. And so let me just throw this out, and then you can tell me they were wrong if you so desire. But they were talking about condensed milk. They were talking about water. They were talking about syrup, Caro syrup, and possibly some iron. And they said, now you have baby formula. And as a pediatrician, I think it's best for you to speak to that, because if they're doing that with me, they must be doing it and suggesting that to other people.
Absolutely. You know, I've heard the same thing. And I even remember my own grandma telling me about how they used to make their own baby formula, that's what she fed my mom. And, you know, it really is not a good option, unfortunately. That I have concerns about the safety of that. Babies are not just like small adults. They're not even like small big kids, and their kidneys are not well developed yet. They can't handle some of those different proteins or those different sugars in the way that, you know, an older child or an adult might do. And there were babies that got sick and had problems from those old formulas, you know, all those decades ago. So I really, that is not a good, safe option to use right now.
So what would you do if you were that mother and you couldn't find formula? What is your option? What do you do?
Yeah, so it depends a little bit on the age of your baby. So if your baby is less than 6 months old, formula is it. That's your option. So like I said, I would recommend switching brands first. Try a store brand, try a different formulation of your same brand. Those are all totally reasonable things to do. And it's kind of like switching between Coke and Pepsi. You know, the taste might be a little bit different. It might not be exactly the same, but it's going to do in a pinch, right? So that's the first step I would take. Think about other stores. You know, a lot of us are used to shopping at the big box stores for our baby products, but I have seen formula on the shelf at gas stations, at drugstores, at some of the little mom and pop shops. I say, poke your head in on some of those little spots where you might not usually be buying formula, and you might find that they have some in stock. So that's one thing. If you can afford it and if you can find it, buy it online. That's an option too. And heard of people talking to their relatives in other parts of the country, say, hey, could you swing into your local big box store and see if they've got what I need? And lots of bartering and things like that happening online now too. So I think you got get a little bit creative, but unfortunately it takes work to seek out those alternative options. So that's for a baby that's less than 6 months old. Because really don't have other things that you can feed them with.
I want you to address the issue of breastfeeding, because there's people who can just, broad brush this whole thing and say, well, it's their fault for not breastfeeding. And they're, Sue and I had 2 kids. She never breastfed. I mean, it was part of our life. I mean, she went back to work. Tommy, my point is this. Everyone assumes that every woman who had a child can breastfeed. If you could speak to that, please.
We know that that's just not true. There are some women who want to breastfeed and aren't able to, that, their bodies just don't cooperate. They don't make enough milk. There are women who, just for various reasons, it just doesn't work, or their baby has some kind of health issue where that's not possible. So it's not an easy solution. Plus, if you didn't start out breastfeeding, it's not like you can just pick up and restart and get back to it again. That's kind of if you haven't been doing it, that's a missed opportunity. So yeah, there really are people who can't utilize that. And only about 25% of babies are exclusively breastfed. So that means 3 out of every 4 babies uses formula in some capacity.
Doctor, whatever they're paying you, it isn't enough. Tell them you want double.